Have you ever wondered what it would be like to live in a ghost town? A town that was abandoned by its inhabitants for some mysterious or even tragic reason? In this video, we're going to show you the 12 most haunting ghost towns in the world. Go ahead and leave your like and subscribe, as we're going to deliver a dozen curiosities. Body, California. Body is a ghost town in California that was founded during the gold rush in 1859. The town had up to 10,000 inhabitants but was also violent and lawless. Shootouts, fights, and murders were common on the streets of Body. A famous phrase attributed to a girl who moved to the city said, "Goodbye, God, I'm going to Body." Gold production decreased in 1880, and the town was abandoned in 1942. Today, Body is a state historic park where visitors can see the buildings and objects left by the former residents. Some say the town is haunted or even cursed. 11. Ashgabat, Turkmenistan. Ashgabat is the capital of Turkmenistan, a country that was part of the Soviet Union until 1991. The city is known for its marble buildings, gigantic monuments, and world records like the largest enclosed Ferris wheel in the world. But Ashgabat is also an empty and repressive city, where the government spends billions of dollars on pharaonic works, while the population suffers from poverty, lack of basic services, and censorship. Many residents were expelled from their homes to make way for government projects, and tourists are watched and forbidden to take pictures. Ashgabat is a city that tries to impress the world with its wealth, but hides a dark and sad reality. 10. Craco, Italy. Craco is a medieval city that sits on top of a hill in the Basilicata region in southern Italy. The city was founded around 540 and was the scene of various conflicts between kings, armies, and political parties. But what really led to the abandonment of the city were natural disasters such as earthquakes, floods, and landslides that made life in Craco very dangerous and difficult. In 1963, the last inhabitants of Craco were transferred to a new city built on the plain. Today, Craco is a ghost town that preserves the ruins and memories of a long and turbulent history. The city is a tourist destination and a film set, having been used in films like The Passion of the Christ and 007. 9. Kolmanskop, Namibia. Kolmanskop is a ghost town in the Namibian desert, which was founded in 1908 by German miners who were looking for diamonds in the region. The city became very rich and prosperous with luxurious houses, shops, hospitals, schools, and even an ice cream factory. But the fortune of Kolmanskop was short-lived. With World War I, the production of diamonds fell, and the miners left for other more lucrative areas. The city was abandoned in the 50s and was left to the mercy of the desert sands, which invaded and covered the abandoned buildings. Today, Kolmanskop is a tourist attraction and a film set, which shows the contrast between the wealth of the past and the desolation of the present. 8. Hashima Island, Japan. Hashima Island is an abandoned island located near Nagasaki in Japan. The island was used as a coal mine since 1887 and was bought by the Mitsubishi Company in 1890. The island became very rich and developed, with concrete buildings, schools, and hospitals. But the island was also the scene of forced labor and human rights violations, as many prisoners of war were forced to work in the mines during World War II. The island went into decline in the 70s when the coal ran out and the mine was closed. The island was abandoned in 1974 and was isolated for decades. Then the island was reopened for visitation in 2009, and today is a tourist attraction and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The island is known as Gunkanjima, which means Battleship Island because of its dark and fortified appearance. 7. Kangbashi, China. Kangbashi is a modern and futuristic city located in the Ordos district in China. The city was built in 2004 with the aim of housing more than 1 million people and boosting economic development in the region, which is rich in coal and natural gas. The city has luxurious buildings, parks, museums, stadiums, but the city also has a big problem. It is almost empty. Most of the apartments and offices were bought by investors, but were never occupied. The estimated population of the city is only 20 to 30,000 people, making it one of the largest ghost towns in the world. Kangbashi is an example of how rampant construction and inadequate planning can lead to waste of resources and urban abandonment. 6. Prypyat, Ukraine. Prypyat is a ghost town located near Chernobyl in Ukraine. The city was founded in 1970 to house the workers and families of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, which was one of the largest and most modern in the Soviet Union. The city had about 50,000 inhabitants and had a school, hospital, cinema, and even an amusement park. But everything changed on April 26, 1986, when the worst nuclear accident in history occurred at reactor number 4 of Chernobyl. This explosion released a radioactive cloud that contaminated the region and spread across Europe. A day after the disaster, the residents of Prypyat were hastily evacuated, leaving behind all their belongings and their entire life. The city was never inhabited again and became a 30-kilometers exclusion zone. Today, Prypyat is a city frozen in time that shows the marks of tragedy and nature. The city is now a tourist destination that attracts curious and adventurous visitors who want to see the ruins and all the abandoned objects up close. 5. Bombay Beach, California. Bombay Beach is a ghost town located on the shores of the Salton Sea, an artificial lake that formed in the California desert in 1905 due to an engineering accident. The city was created in 1929 with the intention of being a luxury resort for tourists who wanted to enjoy the salty waters and the exotic landscape. The city had about 1,000 inhabitants and had hotels, restaurants, clubs, and even a golf course. But Bombay Beach was also a victim of the Salton Sea, which became an ecological disaster due to pollution, salinity, and lack of drainage. The lake began to dry up and release a foul smell, killing the fish and birds that lived there. At one point, the water level also rose and flooded part of the city, destroying the houses and businesses in the area. The city was abandoned in the 70s and was left under a layer of salt, sand, and trash. Today, Bombay Beach is a city frozen in time, showing the marks of tragedy and decay. 4. Plymouth, Montserrat Island. Plymouth was the capital and main port of Montserrat Island, an overseas territory of the United Kingdom in the Caribbean. The city was built on ancient lava deposits near the Solfriere Hills volcano, which had been inactive for centuries. The city had about 4,000 inhabitants and had churches, schools, shops, and hotels. But everything changed in 1995 when the volcano erupted violently, throwing ashes, rocks over the city. Shortly after the eruption, several residents fled the area and others were evacuated by the authorities. The city was never inhabited again and became an exclusion zone that covers half of the island. Today, Plymouth is a ghost town that is partially buried and destroyed. 3. Sanjipod City, Taiwan. Sanjipod City was a futuristic resort project that consisted of modular houses shaped like flying saucers, located on the north coast of Taiwan. The project was initiated in 1978 by the Hun Kun Group, with the intention of attracting tourists, the wealthy, and American soldiers stationed in Asia. The project had an innovative and modern design inspired by the architecture of the future, which was popular at the time. However, the project faced several financial, technical, and superstitious problems that led to its abandonment in 1980. During construction, several fatal accidents occurred that were attributed to a curse on the site, which was supposedly an ancient cemetery or battlefield. In addition, the concrete and plastic structures were considered unsafe for an earthquake-prone area. The city was never completed, and the houses were abandoned for decades, becoming a tourist attraction and an artistic setting for their strange and frightening appearance. In 2008, the houses were demolished to make way for a new tourist and ecological development. 2. Kelso, California. Kelso is a ghost town located in the Mojave National Park in California. The city was founded in 1905 as the railway station that connected Utah to Los Angeles. The city began to grow in the 1920s, and in 1940 when it became a center for transportation and mining of borax, iron, gold, and silver. The city had about 2,000 inhabitants and already had hotels and restaurants. But the city went into decline in the 50s and 60s when the mines closed and rail transport decreased. The railway station was deactivated in 1986, and the city has been abandoned since then. Today, the railway station has been restored and has become the visitor center of the Mojave National Park, where visitors can learn about the history and nature of the region. 1. Fordlandia, Brazil. Fordlandia was a city planned by American tycoon Henry Ford, who wanted to create his own source of rubber for his car company. The city started in 1928 in an area of millions of hectares purchased from the Brazilian government in the Amazon rainforest. The city had an American style with houses, schools, and hospitals, but Fordlandia also had many problems, such as the resistance of local workers to the rules and customs imposed by Ford. The lack of knowledge about the cultivation of the rubber tree, the pests and diseases that attacked the plantations, and the competition from Asian rubber producers. With this, the city never produced enough rubber to meet Ford's demands, and was abandoned in 1945 after Ford sold the land back to the Brazilian government for a fraction of the original price. Today, Fordlandia is a ghost town that preserves the ruins and memories of a failed and utopian project. And those were the 12 most haunting cities in the world. Would you dare to visit any of them? Which one did you find most interesting or scary? Leave your comment below. Share your opinion with us. If you like this video, please leave your like and subscribe to our channel to see more videos like this. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.